S1. So I had to kill it. But I'll wait for people to come in. I'm still waiting on my other training. Like, this is the AR that I would use. It's clearly a toy. So, and these are clearly toys. See, YouTube? So please do not kill the stream. So like whenever you review this, you can see this is a plastic toy. You can clearly see it's plastic. But it shouldn't. Fell over. I don't know why it does that. Good, I didn't get any alerts. But I get another AR. This is the one matter of fact, I probably had this thing here like 30 years. It's a water gun that I bought in the 1990s. You see, it has the little electric motor on it. So I got another one coming that has the more modern rails. But I use this for testing all my components. So stuff like you can even see the battery in the back where it goes. But I use it for testing the components. But I can't mount stuff like the PEQ on it because it doesn't have any rails or anything. And so that's why I bought these other the toy pistols, so I can test all my components out on them to make sure I got everything kind of fit right. The dimensions are kind of close enough for a Glock for training anyway. But I like these because they actually kick the shell out. So I probably will have the ones for the AR tomorrow that kicks the shell out. But anyway, I'm getting into the PEQ. Put my drink up. Hopefully it doesn't fall over on me. So what I'm showing you is the PEQ 15 and the upgrades you can do on it to make it hold 0. I'm gonna put this little weapons light sure shot out the way. Gonna stick that right there. So when I originally did the video, it's up on the channel, I used this foam and it held 0 okay, but I was still getting some micro movements. So what I did was I did this design and then I went and I made this one out of a little better foam material. It's actually foam insulation. I think I got some here. Yeah. It's actually this stuff here. Well, this stuff is pretty good. It's soft enough, but just firm enough to help it from moving. Let's see here. So the first thing you want to do is, I'm assuming that you all probably are kind of loosely familiar with how to take these things apart. It's just 3 screws. It's like this, and then you just unscrew the bottom part, which is like right here. You got the screws in here, and then you unscrew the front half of it. You got screws in here. You got 3 screws in here. So let's talk about the reason why these things normally don't hold 0. A lot of times you're getting a lot of micro movements on the turrets here. So as you can see, what I did was I put silicone in here to kind of reinforce these little turrets so they don't move around. And I want to kind of minimize the micro movements as much as possible. I also feel the back half. This is the part of the dovetail that's supposed to mount to your firearm here. I fill that with silicone to kind of absorb a little bit of that recoil. I also put silicone on these little I forget what these things are called. These little plastic, not plastic, they're brass and they're meant to go into plastic so you can screw into them, right? And what you do is you heat them up and just kind of twist them, and then they stay in place. But I put silicone in here to kind of hold that in, so I don't have to worry about it coming out. And then I put silicone inside there to kind of just hold everything together. Now this is the Wadsn. There's a few things about the Wadsn that I do like. First of all, if you can see this dovetail here, that little piece on there at the bottom, it's all solid. Unlike the Somo gear, the Wadsn is not hollow in here. It's all actually full of plastic. So that kind of okay, thank you for the comment. It kind of lessens the chance of it breaking like the Somo gear does. Even though I like the Somo gear, but it's just some things on it that I don't like. First, what I don't like about the Somo gear is I don't like how the ground wire is just soldered to this one. So in the Wadsn, that's not how this actually goes. So I'll show you real quick. You have this spring here that's soldered to the board. See, it's soldered there. And then you have this other spring here. That's actually how your ground and your positive terminals work on this. And then this has a little recess, and it just fits into place. Let's see, can I fit it? It just fits like that. Kind of hard for me to do it with one hand, but you kind of get the picture. Let's see here. It's a little recess groove. I gotta get it in here. Yeah. There we go. So it clicks in place. It's actually a recess. Now, because it's meant to rest on this piece of metal here, and this piece is metal, that's how you make the connection. It's not like how the other one is just soldered. It is. This is a better design because you don't have to worry about a piece of wire coming undone. I'm gonna flip it over so you can see what the board looks like. Actually, no, I forgot. I should be wearing my anti-static, even though the board is grounded, but I'm still gonna wear my anti-static. I want to fry my electronics unintentionally. So I'm going to explain to you what these components are on here. Let's see about the turret. I'll move all that stuff out of the way. So what we have here is we got the PCB, which is the printed circuit board. We have the connectors that you have to attach to the circuit board. And then you have the laser module or laser driver, or what call it, depending on whatever you like. And as you can see, it's one laser, one IR LED. So this is the laser, this is the IR LED. And it doesn't look like it's any type of culminator inside of it. Now what I did to kind of help it from moving around in here, I actually hot glued the back piece of this plastic. That way, when I put it on here, it doesn't move around. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. Okay, so here we go. It just meant to hold it like this, right? So if you can see how it sits in here, and you see this little spherical piece on here, it's like a little half circle. It's meant to sit right in here. Can you see it right there? Well, what this foam does, it just kind of hold everything in place. So whenever you're firing a weapon, it doesn't just makes it like move around a lot. So whatever you set it for, this foam is to kind of lessen the micro movements. And it kind of ensures that whenever you move it or wherever you set it at, that's where it stays. Pretty simple and forward. I don't know it because I hadn't took apart a real PEQ 15, but I suspect they got foam and stuff in them. Normally, whenever I've taken stuff apart before, it's foam padding in it. If it's kind of like a more higher end devices, or either like a really stiff spring. It could just be a spring in it. I think I looked at the actual technical drawings of it, but that still doesn't really show me what's inside of the actual production model. Let's see here. Okay, that's... So this little spring here, this is the other spring that gives tension on it. So like whenever you tighten the turret to go left or right, up and down, this spring holds it. So if it goes, you know, obviously if it goes that way, when you lessen it back, it's going to come back automatically because of the spring tension. Just to kind of explain it. I'm going to sit that there. As you can see here, this is the inside of it. This is the switch where you would turn it. And then that's the on and off, which is that. And like I said, these are the turrets that I put silicone on, kind of hold everything in place, kind of keep it from moving. All right, this is the board that I potted out. I use silicone instead of what I normally use, which is I would either use where is this stuff here? I'll either use like this Permatex. This stuff is real good. Or I would use like liquid rubber or liquid tape. However, whenever I'm doing this stuff a lot, after doing a lot of this stuff, I like to be able to see the components or whatever I'm working on. So I've switched to just using pure silicone on it. You can use epoxy too if you use like a clear epoxy, that'll work. But as you can see, all of this stuff has been covered in silicone, and that does makes it waterproof, and also too makes sure that these little components don't work their way loose under heavy recoil. I'm going to sit that back down. The different connectors and stuff on here, I covered them with hot glue before I covered it with silicone. And I just use a paintbrush like this. And once I put the silicone in, I just spread it all around and make sure I covered all the components twice and just let it dry. to kind of make it easier for it to hold. If you hear noise, that's just my son playing this game or whatever. I also covered all the wires. I'm going to show you this wire here so you can see what's on here. This is for the laser. It is a resistor in here. See, that is a resistor right here that I covered up. So I covered up the resistor with hot glue and the wire, because this wire is kind of thin. I don't want this wire to break loose. It's also the wire going into the laser. It's hot glued and covered in silicone. This is the LED one. Same thing here. It's covered in silicone and hot glue. I don't want any of this stuff to come loose while I'm firing it. Let's see what else is the other components that I have. Okay, this is the flashlight. It's covered in hot glue right here and there. And then the connectors are covered in hot glue. All the connectors have hot glue on the end. So they shouldn't come loose under recoil. And that's the problem sometimes with the airsoft stuff. It comes, loose whenever you find it under recoil. So basically what you're doing is you're remanufacturing it. And you can make it as accurate as you want to. Now, you see a lot of people talking about the what did they say about the beam. Whenever you see people doing tests between, like, say for instance, the clone and the name brand, that's meaningless. The way that the beam looks is purely a function of whatever kind of culminator they use. So, like, for instance, if the beam wasn't to your liking, you just would swap out the culminator. Now, for me, that's not a big issue. I didn't care about that, so I didn't replace it. But let me move these. So these are just my little toys that I use for training. I'm just going to be careful because I don't want. Perfect. I had a connection issue. Hopefully YouTube didn't kill the stream, because the AI think I'm holding a real firearm when these are clearly toys. You see the plastic screw holes and all that stuff in it. No, okay, I see more people in, so no, they didn't kill the stream. Good. All right, so I'll keep going. I don't really care about it being waterproof, since I'm not going to be out there in the rain anyway with my stuff hunting or anything like that. But if you care about that, you want this thing waterproof, like, I wouldn't recommend that you put glue on it, because if you ever want to do upgrades to it, you can't. So what I would just simply do is I would get some silicone grease, like the waterproofing grease, or either the silicone grease meant for electronic components. And I would just put it on like a Q-tip, and I would just put some on here. So when I put it together, it would just have a little grease on the seams. And doing that, that's all I would do. That would go a long way with keeping water out of it. And since it's grease meant for electronic components, it's not going to damage it. You also, if you want to do some more reinforcements, you could just spray it inside with that rubberized painting, that rubberized coating paint. you can do that. That'll kind of give some more reinforcements in here. Like I said, this one's built different than the Somo gear, so some of the issues with the cracking of the housing, you're not going to have with this one. I probably put 2,000 rounds through this, and I hadn't had any trouble with it cracking or anything, so you probably would be good. It is just thin plastic, just know that. So if you're worried about it, you can put some more epoxy or silicone or whatever you want to reinforce it. But I haven't had any issues with that. And if you do, just buy just get the housing and buy the dummy housing and just buy that and replace it. Now what I'm gonna be going over is the beam for the lasers, right? So let's go back here to the beam. So you can see that's the laser. If you want to set your beam, you're gonna need to take that laser out, use like a heat gun to melt that hot glue that holds it in place, and then you're gonna want to get a culminator. So as I said before, the beam is purely a function of the culminator or lack thereof. So like this is an example of a culminator for a laser, and if you had this on here, you could just set the focus on here, and that'll allow you to either make the beam wider or smaller. And depending on how you set your beam, that's really depends on the size of what it looks like. They got all different types of culminators you can play around in. You can have one that gives you a bullseye, or one that gives you cross, like crosshairs, or one that's just a regular old circle. Now the other thing you could use is a beam expander, but beam expanders with a culminator are very expensive. Even for the Chinese end of the stuff, you're probably talking about $50, $60, and if you buy one from some type of laser manufacturer, you might spend as much as $500 for those. So they get kind of pricey. But as you can see here, I got different type of reflectors and beam expanders in here, and culminators. And this is a culminator here that I have in here is actually in 3 pieces. The best type of laser modules are the ones that look like this, that are just all in the brass housing, because they're easy to replace a culminator. You don't have to do a lot of different modifications to it. So like I own 2 of these. So one of the PEQ 15s that I have, it has this laser module in here because it has a 1 IR light, 1 LED. The other one just has 2 lasers in here. It actually has a LED light, not LED laser, sorry. It has a IR laser, and it has a green visible laser, where this one just has a green visible laser, and then it has the IR LED. But you can swap any of that stuff out. It just depends on what you want to put in here. You can easily replace it. It's just 2 wires. Most of the lasers, they just require 2 wires and the right resistor to work. You also could, for the white light, if you wanted to, you could do the car headlight laser mod. But in my opinion, that's going to make it way too bright, and it goes beyond being tactical, because part of the tactical things is you're going to want to not have a huge gigantic flashlight running around with, right? But you can replace it. I think those little car headlight lasers are like $40. You can replace it. It just gives it a white light laser, because normally this would be a IR laser, and this would have been the IR flood, so you could focus it. But now if you want to do that mod, you probably want the Somo gear, because on this particular one for the Wadsn, it's a dummy on the other side, because this one wasn't designed to have a zeroable floodlight. Now the Somo gear does have that, but there's some things I don't like about the Somo gear. I wish I could take both of them together and just make exactly what I want, but it's probably too much trouble. I don't know if I went over this before. I think I did, but this is what I like about this one. See, it uses a spring. It doesn't use like a little flimsy piece of cable that is soldered to. And also like the fact that this board is soldered to, not the board, this plug is soldered to the board. I do like that. But once it's in here with this foam, it ought to absorb most of the shock and the recoil. I'll probably get out there to the range this weekend, and me and Junior will go out there and play around a little bit with them and see what it does. Because next week he has to go to drill, and so he's going to be gone a week. So I guess we'll go out there to the range before he has to go. The other thing I've played around with are the toy pistols, because like whenever I'm training inside, I like the realism of them actually moving backwards and forth, and it helps me remember how to place my fingers, so I don't have my hand in the way of the slide, since whenever you pull the trigger, the slide goes back. And it also kicks out around, which is pretty cool. I try to practice with both hands, with my left and right hand, so whenever I'm used to drawing it, no matter if I'm drawing it from my left or my right side, it's still, what's the word I want to use? I'm still conscious of where the slide's going back. Let's see what else we're gonna do. Like I said, I got the AR coming, so we can train with that, but I don't know how much longer it's gonna take for it to come. Hopefully it's here by tomorrow. We'll see. I'll show you what it looks like. But these PEQ are pretty simple to work on. You should be able to work on it, and if you're halfway decent with stuff, you can probably make it better than anything you can buy off the shelf. I mean, considering these things are around $2,000, if you're buying a name brand one, you probably can put $50 in this and make this thing do whatever you want to do. Like I said, if you want to make it more, the beam more better, like I said, people will talk about the beam. That means nothing. That's a culminator, and that can easily be swapped out. But the reason why you see people doing those videos comparing them with they'll do like the Somo gear and what the beam looks like, based on what the L3 Harris looks like, because they don't know anything about culminators. But that's the reason why normally, like if you look at, say for instance, the L3 Harris, it'll have like a more tight beam at a longer distance, whereas the Wadsn will have like a little, the beam on it will be kind of big or whatever. That's just a function of the culminator. Which you probably already knew that if you're spending time on my channel. I think I went over the stuff you can put on there. You can either use liquid tape, Permatex, or you can use silicone caulking. This is up to you. Whatever one you want to use, it's not going to hurt anything. You just want to make sure that it's, I guess, reasonably sealed or whatever. You don't, like I said, I wouldn't dump this thing in water because these units aren't waterproof. So I'm just letting you know that ahead of time. I don't know why. I don't know any scenario where you would get water in it unless you throwing your gun in water or whatever, or a LARP or whatever. But nope, I try not to go anywhere near water, especially out in the woods, because I live in Florida and everywhere around here is gator infested. So if the snakes don't get you, the gators just might. So you need to be careful with all that stuff. Oh, excuse me. I'm tired. You do want to make your template. And that template right here is just that I made so that it will fit in here. I'll show you. So when I cut that styrofoam out, I made it from this template. And let's see, can I put it in here? I'm trying to do it with one hand, people. Let's see here, so you can see it. So I cut it out, and then I'll put it right here. I'll see here. So that's the way the foam sits in here. So see, it sits in there perfectly like that, and that way it lessens the recoil. So it, even if it moves a little bit when you're firing it, it still should hold it pretty secure with the foam in there. So that gives you an idea of what you want to do. I suggest you want to cut that out, get you one of those little carving kits from Hobby Lobby or somewhere like that, the wood carving kits. It'd be easier to cut this foam with that. The better you do on these components and the more time you take working on it, the better performance you're going to see. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I didn't show you this one. This was the second prototype that I did for the phone before I opted on that design. So this was the second one I did, and this was the first one I did. But this foam here is a little, okay, I'm sorry, you can't even see it. It's really soft, so I think it really wasn't doing a good job of holding it into place. You wanted it to be a little more rigid. But this is what you want to do if you got one of these PEQ 15 clones. This is how you do it to kind of make a whole zero. And this one here is supposed to be co-witness if it was another laser, but it's a LED light, so you're not going to have two beams in the same direction. Now, when it's co-witness, that's kind of a misnomer. You're not going to have both beams hitting in exactly the same point. It should be that one beam should hit like at one point, and then right above it should be the other beam. There shouldn't be like converging on the same point. That's not the way it's supposed to be, but some people think that's what it should be. But nope, that's not what it's supposed to be. It should be one beam, and then above it, it should be another one. Let me get my drink here. But then sometimes the lasers are finicky, because like with this one, this is a Spartan. I think it's Laser Max Spartan. I think Junior paid what, 200, 300 for that one. And it really doesn't do any better than some of the airsoft ones. So lasers on handguns sometimes are a bit wonky and finicky anyway. So maybe that's the reason why. Rifles and shotguns are a little more stable. This PEQ 15 was on my 12 gauge bullpup down there. So once I finish working on it, I'm going to put it back on. I just kind of, when I was using it, it kind of wandered a little bit. Hey, how you doing? I thought I had spoke to you before when you came in. Thank you for looking at my stream, by the way. It's like your name's Angelo. I don't have on my glasses. I have Meta glasses, and they, for whatever reason, they pick up a lot more background noise. So that's why I'm not using them when they're not even supposed to work with YouTube streaming, but for whatever reason they are. I guess because I'm using the Streamlabs app or whatever. I don't know why it was picking up stuff, but it is what it is. But that's really it for this anyway. When I go out into the range, I'll see what kind of performance I have with it, and I'll do some more range day videos. somebody wants to see my toy collection I use for training, let me know, and I'll make some videos on this stuff here. This one's set up like my 9mm, because I use a Stroger, which you see on my channel, that's set up similar to this one for training. And then Junior has a Glock 43X. I believe that's what it's called, right? Then, of course, you know, Junior uses the AR, which we use that one for like indoor training, just for like, you know, staying current with your muscle memory. I really hadn't found a good bullpup substitution for this one, so I use this green one, which is pretty close to that one, but it's still like a pump or whatever. But that's what I use for my training. What I do like about these is they kick the shell out. I like the fact that the slide moves and there's no green gas or anything like that, or batteries, or just they're manual powered, but whenever you pull the trigger, they do work. I would show you, but I'm going to do that on a dedicated video, because when I did it before, YouTube AI flagged the video as me holding a real firearm, because for whatever reason they can't distinguish the difference between toys and real firearms, so I don't want the stream killed. Even though it's a color, safety color, it's orange and all that, and it has the little screw holes, so this is clearly a toy, but the AI still flagged it. But that's what I'm going to do, people. I'm going to work on this stuff here some more. I'm going to get out there to the range and I'm going to practice on it. Then I'm going to see how well it works. See if I need to make any more adjustments on it. If you hadn't subscribed to my channel and you like the content I put out, please subscribe to my channel and give me a like. It also helps with the algorithm. Cause before they changed the algorithm, my videos did pretty well. I am using this Streamlabs app. I've noticed a difference. The YouTube app seems to push more people to my stream. However, I do like the Streamlabs app better because I can customize it and put logos and overlays that I can't do with YouTube. I wish YouTube would allow us to do that, but they don't. So it is what it is. I need a better holster too for like going on to the other stuff. This is a holster that I bought, but it doesn't work like I figured it would. Like when I bought offline and I thought it would have been a decent holster, but because it doesn't, for whatever reason, they cut this side off, and so it's not stable whenever you put it on your belt for carrying, right, for concealed carry. And for whatever reason, it's not universal. You can't swap it over. So if you just used it like this, it didn't specify this, but this is actually either this is a left-hand side or it's meant for like inside of your pants, right? But there's no snap or anything. You can't, like, without this side here, this doesn't have that piece on here. Like normally whenever you would do it. The little slide piece on here that will lock in place. I'm not sure what you would call it on there. But I'm gonna risk picking up the toy. Hopefully they don't kill my stream. So YouTube, this is a toy, right? It shouldn't kill my stream. See, it's orange and everything. Okay, normally right here is that little piece for your slide release. That's what holds it into place in your holster. Because that isn't there, it doesn't really work. So like with this one here, if you just held it, it doesn't retain it in like it should. It's just like, you know, it'll just fall right out, which is useless. The only reason why I bought the holster was so I could go through the drills, speed drills and stuff like that. I'll set this thing back up. I don't want it to fall over. But those are really cool toys to have. Even if you don't use them for like for training, they're just cool to play around with. I guess YouTube upgraded the AI because for whatever reason before I did it, it flagged my video, but that's what these are. They're just toys. I use them for training. But that's all I'm not gonna push too much of playing with that because it may kill my stream. And I don't want to kill my stream just yet. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, some of these, right? I forgot to tell you. These are actually supposed to be, and the real ones, they're supposed to be a culminator in these lenses. So, whenever you're using, let's see here, can I put it over? Yeah. So whenever you're using these, it's supposed to be a lens on here. Now what you can do is you can modify these and put a culminator in here, and you can focus the laser even better. But they do sell these different ones with different lens type, like there's a circle, a crosshair, what's the other one, a bullseye. And that's made because it's a culminator. It's just like, I don't know if I showed them earlier. I can't remember. So I'm just going to open it up. All it is just one of these little tiny lenses in here. Can I find you lens? I don't need a reflector in there. Where are you, tiny lens? Okay, yeah, here we go. See this little tiny lens? That's a culminator lens. And this is a laser culminator. So you can see it, that's the lens inside of it. And this housing is meant for you to adjust the focus on it so you can focus it however you want it to. And then this is a different type of culminator. But like if you wanted to change the focus or made adjustable focus, you could probably just put this in there some kind of way, hot glue it or something, or thread it, whatever you decided to do. That's if you just wanted to be able to, like, this one here is meant for you to be able to adjust the focus or you just want a culminator just to focus it at a fixed magnification, or a beam expander. Any of that stuff will help your beam, because that's really the main difference on the performance of the laser. Like, I don't know if I already probably said this in the video, but whenever you see the light beam on how big it is, whenever you're looking at the lasers, that's just a function of the culminator. Like, if the light isn't culminated really well, it's going to be kind of wonky and distorted. And then if it's culminated well, it'll just be a real tight beam. And like I said, you can swap the lenses out and put different lenses in there, and you can make them however you want to. Because in here, this is just going to be glass. Whereas the other one, I believe the other ones for the PEQ 15, they're rubber. And you can actually just buy these. I think these things, they're actually these little culminators for the PEQ 15. They're real expensive. They're around $50, $60, or $70. But if you bought them, that will improve your beam because it's a culminator. And you can use a culminator with a beam expander. Like I said earlier, to make your beam better. Give me a sip from my drink here. But yeah, I know a lot of people don't like the Wadsn. I actually like the Wadsn. I think it's actually a fairly decent design. I would love to get my hands on a PEQ 15, one made by L3 Harris, and kind of tear it down to see what was inside of it. But funny, the BooTubers always show pictures of them destroying the the Somo gear, but you never see pictures of them showing the insides of the one made by L3 Harris. Maybe it's restricted, I don't know. I know those PEQ 15s are restricted for export, so they may not even allow you to even show pictures on it, because it is a export ban on them. So I don't know. You may get into trouble for actually displaying them. I don't know. Since I don't own one, I couldn't tell you. I do want to get a D-Ball A2, because the housing in that one is metal, so I would like to play around with the D-Ball A2. Just the fact that it has aluminum housing and all the other components that bolt to it are straightforward and easy. I would just like to play around with one of those a little bit and see how well it does. But I'm working on improving my channel. I'm going to try to, once I get to 500 subscribers, then I can sell merchandise and I can get super chats and all that stuff. in the live streams, assuming that I'm approved for the monetization program. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I do have a Cash App if you would like to donate to my channel. Anything that I make off of that goes right back into the channel. You don't have to, but if you do, I would enjoy that. So that helps me continue to buy components, because this stuff does get kind of expensive. Because people always showing off stuff, but they don't ever show you how to set it up or how to make it work. Most of this stuff, you can kind of work on it to make it function however you really want it to. Some of the things on here that these channels do is just gatekeeping to keep people who are financially challenged out of the hobby, right? So if you can't afford certain optics and stuff, certain ones you can get by with, like for instance, if you got an EOTech like that one, and you can what's the word I want to use? You can't afford a the real genuine EOTech. The Holy Warrior get you by, since it holds 0. And I put the Holy Warrior on my channel. I tested it on the shotgun. Matter of fact, the one down there is a Holy Warrior, and it holds 0 just fine. And so if it holds 0 with this 12 gauge, and I mean, if it works, it works. Because here's the thing, you may not be able to afford $500 for optics. And then here's the other thing. Here's the other issue, right? Do you really want to put a $500, $700 optic on a $200 gun? I don't know if that actually makes sense or not. I mean, I don't care one way or the other, because I like playing around with stuff. But does it really make sense to put a $500 optic or a $700 optic on a $200 gun? If you hear some noise in the background, it's just my daughter. She got home from work. She's real loud. Hopefully you don't hear her. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this guy back together, and then we're going to see how well it functions. And hopefully everything works the way it did when I took it apart. But here's the cool part. I only paid 30 some bucks for it. So if it doesn't work, it's not a big deal. Just buy another one. It's not an issue. I'll tell you something else that you might want to invest in. Let's see where it is. You might want to get or switch to a rechargeable battery. So here's a battery charger, and then right there, and these are the rechargeable batteries. These batteries. So can I focus on you? I don't have my glasses. I believe it's 16340. The volts, and it's almost identical to the CR123. Excuse me. The only problem I found with this one is, see, it's flat at the top. So if you don't have a spring on both sides, then you're going to need to have, what's the word I'm looking for? You're going to have to put some type of washer or something on this to make sure it contacts firmly with the other lead on the positive side or negative side. Actually, that's the positive side. So the other lead on the device is the positive side, because if you don't, it's not going to function. and you actually think that the battery's dead, but it's not the battery. It's just that you need something to make contact with the battery. But this way you can always recharge them. You don't constantly have it where your batteries keep dying. That gets annoying. And these CR123 batteries are expensive. And so I got this one because I got tired of buying them. I mean, like, it's like every few weeks or whatever I'm buying. Whoops, I don't want to drop my caliper. I'm buying batteries. Oh, and also too, I'll make sure I recalibrate that because I dropped it and then cut it off. Save yourself some time and effort and get your digital calipers. This one just came from Harbor Freight. I think I paid like $9 for that one. The manual one is well, but this thing here, you got to know how to do the calculations, and the digital one does it for you. It's a little challenging. I mean, it's not that hard, but if you didn't grow up with the metric system, even though it's inches on the top, but you got to know how to use the scale. And then the way and all other thing is not the way this. The other thing that's cool about this one is that's a depth gauge. If you ever want to know how deep something is, you just use that as the depth gauge. Not depth gauge. Let's see here. This is supposed to be the diffuser here, but it doesn't really diffuse too much because it's not a laser shining through here. So if it was a real laser going through there and not the flashlight, it would diffuse, but that one's not going to really diffuse that much since all it is just a little piece of plastic on it. But I think I'm going to find that call. Perfect. But that's what we're gonna do. I think tomorrow my the AR I was telling you guys about should be here. And I may do a stream tonight on the toy Glocks. They're pretty fun to play around with. So we'll see. But that being said, I'm going to probably get out of here. If you hadn't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to it if you like to. Also, if you would like to support me, you can hit the Cash App. If you're looking at the rebroadcast of this. Once I get approved for that program, then I can sell merch. And so I'll probably start selling stuff like that once I can get approved, but we'll see. But But I'm close to 500 subscribers, so that's good. It's been a long road trying to get this channel monetized, so that's what I'm working on. But that being said, people, I'm going to get out of here unless I see anybody else hop on. So I'll see you guys later.